Hello, morning. My name is Jeremy Dukes. This is my presentation for the Foundation of Online Learning course, or College 100 for the fall semester. My presentation is going to present mechatronics to you from where and when it began to present day and future applications. All right, so like I mentioned a moment ago, the topic I chose is the field of mechatronics. Myself, I am an industrial robot programmer and have had the opportunity and pleasure for the last 6 months or so to teach robot programming to transitioning service members as they transition from the military and into a new rewarding career. Um, so I've been working with and around the mechatronics um, well before even hearing the term mechatronics. Um, since that time, I have come to absolutely love what I do. I mean, seriously, what's not to love? I get paid to go play with big toys and teach others to do the same thing. I mean, that's the perfect job, career, excuse me. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not always just fun and games. However, to have the opportunity to utilize your own two hands and your mind to build and program something like an automated robot cell from start to finish is absolutely amazing. Without a doubt, one of the greatest rewards of this career is being able to see the entire project and know that you had a hand in it and you get to see it at its completion and in use. That's just awesome to me. So as we go through this presentation, I will show you and talk to you about how this thing, mechatronics, is becoming more and more a part of our daily lives, as well as the future and what some of that looks like. Okay, and so mechatronics is not a new concept, and it is used daily in a multitude of industries as well as our daily lives. More importantly, our future will be defined and found by mechatronics. All right, so where does mechatronics originate from? What is mechatronics and what's it all about? Well, in a nutshell, mechatronics is a combination of mechanical and electrical or electronics. It's also known as electromechanics. Um, Now, today the field of mechatronics includes so much more than just mechanical and electrical devices or machines, but it also incorporates the use of the computer sciences and communications technologies. Now, mechatronics, the term originally was first coined back during the 1960s by two Japanese engineers. Those are the two guys that are credited with coining this term. At that point in time, it was such a popular term that the Yaskawa Electric Corporation there in Japan had it trademarked so that no one else could use it. Then a few years later, roughly around 1972, they relinquished the trademark, making it available to everyone. Right? Mechatronics is much more than just putting systems together, but rather it's the process by which these systems are designed. For example, a manufacturer may be having some issues with a product being manufactured and shipped to its customer in a timely manner, just because of the process by which this product has to go through to be built. Typically it'll go from the mechanical engineer to the electrical engineer, and then to the programmer, and then the PLC programmer, and then your IT guy or communications guy, depending on what systems are part of this product, right? But it all has to be done individually, which all takes time. That's the problem. That's where a lot of the mechatronics process comes from, right? So, what if you could do them all at the same time, each one feeding off of the other's progress and progress together, right? So it's rather a group effort, I guess you could say, kind of like a multidisciplinary group effort. Everybody's helping everybody and accomplishing their own individual tasks for a single project at the same time. So yeah, it's one of the articles that's referenced here on this slide, that third bullet, labels it as the synergy in mechatronics engineering. Creative design and development enables higher level productivity, precision, performance, so on and so forth. So it's an increase to whatever the level of productivity and precision is already there to make it that much better. All right, so what are some of the current day examples of mechatronics? One example would be the medical robots. Some of these robots are being utilized in pharmacies, for example, to assist the pharmacist. The pharmacist would, he or she would just press a series of buttons selecting the medication needed or an order prescription that's already been filled. Then the robot zips away retrieving those medications and returns them to the pharmacist. Some of those cases, the pharmacist doesn't even touch the medication outside of receiving it from the robot already bottled to be inspected and issued to the patient. One of the most impactful applications of mechatronics is within the surgical robots. These robots require an extensive amount of precision, as most of those surgical robots are utilized for surgical procedures like neurological procedures, joint replacement, even back surgeries are conducted by these robots. The picture there on the slide shows you a image of a four-armed robot that is assisting and or performing a surgical procedure of some kind, right? Now, there are many medical applications for mechatronics, ranging from pacemakers to prosthetic spine, obviously prosthetic legs, arms, those kinds of things, but also an optical nanochip that is surgically implanted in a patient's eye, right? Then it's connected to the retinal nerves and provides the ability for that person to see again out of that blinded eye. How crazy is that? It's absolutely amazing that the technology has gotten to a point where we can provide someone the capability of being able to walk again or being able to see again. And a lot of that is through the use of mechatronics. There's also a YouTube video that I saw during my research process. Some college students in the robotics program at a California university, they studied the cheetah, being the fastest animal on the planet, and then built a robotic cheetah, and then continuing their study of the cheetah, were able to not only build this robotic cheetah, but program it so that it runs and jumps. I mean, the thing can jump like a foot in the air. And it's got some decent speed, being a robotic cheetah, right? And the purpose behind this whole thing for them is to utilize their research and the robotics in order to design and build better prosthetics, right? I know way back when, Vietnam, our soldiers, Marines and sailors and everybody, they're coming home and missing limbs. They get the prosthetic, but it's not functional like the real thing, like your own arm or your own leg, and now, as they've progressed over the years, some of these prosthetics have the capability of actually connecting with through the skin, connecting with the nerve endings, at the point in which the leg is not there, for example. And then that prosthetic functions the same as their real leg would because of the signals from the brain, right? Again, the combination of electrical, mechanical, computer sciences, communications, that's what mechatronics is. That's a perfect example of how mechatronics is impacting lives in a major way. Okay, so manufacturing is one of the most well-known industries to have been impacted by the use of automations. And now with the implementation of mechatronics, those impacts will be made much greater within the industry as a whole. In this video, the robot cell utilizes a multitude of sensors and actuators, as well as communications equipment to properly and efficiently pack cases of the plastic bottles that you see here in the video. Mechatronics is the catalyst that will unlock and launch the untapped potential of a multitude of industries, taking it to heights and capabilities that prior to now were unattainable. And just like in this video, you see the robot packing out these bottles. But prior to this robot prior to this robot being installed, there was an actual person that had to pack all those bottles. You know, um, that took a lot of time. The individual has to take a break, to go use the latrine or to go uh, get a snack, have lunch, all these kinds of things. And then at the end of the shift, there's a lull. There's nobody there to operate to pack these things out. Well, this robot and this cell with all the parts and pieces that make it work operates autonomously. It runs like it's supposed to until there's a problem or somebody stops it, which is a huge benefit. An individual in that facility could pack out a 7-layer case of those bottles in particular, and it would take that person to pack that case, one case, about 5 minutes, whereas that robot can pack one case in under a minute and a half. I mean, that is a huge difference that makes a major impact for that facility, for that company. So what industries will be improved through the use of mechatronics? Okay, some of those industries, such as automotive industry, has already been impacted greatly by the use of mechatronics and automations, right? As an example, the automotive industry has been so impacted that if you remember the "What is mechatronics" slide, the first image that appeared on the slide was that of a automobile from 1906. In fact, an electric automobile from 1906, and it was even in the charging stall being charged at in that picture. The concept of mechatronics, like I said before, is not a new concept. It's been around for a lot longer than most even realize. So it's made a huge impact, and it's made very huge strides in impacting a lot of things that we utilize on a daily basis. Other industries that'll be greatly impacted, robotics, manufacturing, residential and commercial construction, with the construction of smart homes, smart buildings, those kinds of things, as well as travel industries are just a few of the industries that'll benefit. And there are many more, even industries that you might not expect to receive much impact, like textile industry, those companies. Another industry that's going to feel a huge impact is the agricultural industry. Okay, because I mean, let's face it, we're the world's population is not getting smaller; it's only going to get bigger as we continue going on. Right now we're sitting at 7 billion people on the planet. It's estimated that by 2050 there'll be in excess of 9 billion people on the planet. If you look back at history, anytime there was a large increase in population, whether it was in a region or in a city, that increase in population affected greatly the amount of food supply that was available. So you ended up with famine, and these kinds of things, droughts, and not that droughts are caused by people, but it so agriculture is a huge player in our future as we continue down the road and the population living on this planet increases. So, what does mechatronics hold for the future? Well, most industrial or national firsts are very competitive ventures, right? Uh, Much like the race to the moon. You know, we were in a race to get to the moon first before Russia did, right? Did you know that one of the prime examples of mechatronics is the Mars rover? This rover combines the use of mechanics, electronics, communications, robotics, uh, network, so IT, um, a number of different sensors and these kinds of things that are utilized to determine life sustainability and so on. You know, I'm sure that you've heard of many companies that are venturing to get their companies poised to be the first to offer flights to outer space. In fact, over the years, I've heard of companies that have already been doing that. And of course, those flights are astronomically expensive. However, they've already been doing that, you know. But I don't think that it's going to be very long uh, before those flights are within our, financial range, to take part in. You know, I think it was either China or Russia that within the last few years that I'd been hearing, uh, looking at setting up some sort of a space settlement on the moon. We're not far from, making leaps and bounds to expand our reach, not just here on Earth, but within our galaxy, our universe. You know, Before long, we'll have space travel. You and I will be able to, fly to Mars, very similar fashion that we would get on a plane and fly to Spain, so we can see the running of the bulls. And flying cars like the DeLorean in Back to the Future. Those kinds of things. Right now, we've already got cars that utilize a autopilot type system. You know, um, Tesla has a number of vehicles that utilize that kind of technology. In fact, I think they were one of the first to do so. Literally drove the vehicle, had the vehicle drive itself rather, across country. You know, um, Huge leaps and bounds. These changes, these um, technological advances are going to make a huge impact in the future. Yes, and they are real things. One day our world will kind of look like a cross between Skynet and the Jetsons. So, in conclusion, as you can see, mechatronics is not just a fad. It's affecting almost every aspect of our lives and is one field of study that will define our future and that of our world, right? And if you take a look at the pictures on the right side of that slide, you'll see a multitude of things that you recognize that are in your home, from the washing machine to the camera, TV, computers. I mean, you name it. They're all involved with the mechatronics uh, field, the mechatronics arena, right? Um, Mechatronics is huge, and our responsibility is to utilize it correctly for the right things, and build something that our children and our children's children can continue to improve upon and continue to improve the quality of life. It is a huge responsibility, and it can be extremely useful, but like with most anything else, if it's not done right, if it's not used right, or to its potential, then it can also cause problems. But I believe that it is a very, very dynamic field and has a very dynamic application to the here and now and in the future. So I thank you for your time, taking the time to listen to my presentation. I hope you'll enjoy the short video that is to follow in just a moment. If you would like more information about the course that I teach here, the robot programming or just automations and mechatronics in general, feel free to email me. Email address is jdukes@choicecc.net. Thanks again, and Happy New Year. There are a few slides following the video from Choice Career College that I utilize for informational purposes for potential students, folks that are interested in the program. It goes over a little bit about the shortages within the industry with regard to programmers, as well as robot technicians, and what that outlook for career and employment purposes is and what it looks like. Okay, so again, I thank you for your time, and once again, Happy New Year, and wish you all the best.
The FANUC M1IA is a lightweight and compact 4- or 6-axis parallel link robot designed for small part handling, high-speed picking, packing, and assembly applications. Equipped with IR Vision 2D and a color camera, the robot picks and sorts pills of different colors. This demonstrates FANUC's unique capability to support customer processes with color features at very high speeds. The M1IA's flexibility and speed far exceed the capabilities of other vertically articulated or Scara-type robots. The M1IA's compact size allows operation in small spaces. Using IR vision and a color camera, the robot picks and sorts the yellow, red, and orange pills separately. The M1IA robot is ideal for picking and packing a variety of products, even the most fragile.